From the grounds of Glassboro High School in Glassboro, New Jersey, Comcast Sports presents high school football. Today, it's the Group 1 state championship as the Paulsboro Red Raiders visit the Glassboro Bulldogs. Hello again, everyone. Rob Christ along with my partner, Shawn Leary. Good day to you. A happy birthday to you, Shawn. A beautiful, crisp, winter-like afternoon here. A lot of wind and a great matchup between two powerhouses in Group 1. Glassboro taking on Paulsboro. These two teams very familiar with one another, always seemingly meeting in this Group 1 championship game. The last two times, Paulsboro's had the best of it, but today, surprisingly, Glassboro probably the favorite.
Well, we've seen Glassboro become the favorite against this Paulsboro team, and somehow Paulsboro managed to win the game. 2 years ago, you looked at the game and you thought Glassboro had the advantage coming in, but Paulsboro found a way to stop Glassboro at the goal line. They end up winning the game. Last year, they beat them pretty good. I think this game, very two evenly matched teams with very two even type of styles, where Glassboro will like to try and open the offense a little bit. They have a lot of different weapons. Paulsboro with Hodges at the quarterback position, will try and do some different things, not only with his arm, but with his legs. They'll try to establish the running game, and I think both lines are pretty evenly matched. So you look at the games, it's going to be the playmakers today.
Well, you mentioned the playmakers, and you did mention Gerald Hodges. Gerald Hodges, a fantastic two-way player for this Paulsboro team. We saw him last week against West Deptford really have a presence on defense. Of course, offensively, such a weapon, a strong right arm, accounting for 7 touchdowns this season.
Well, they had a guy right here at Glassboro named Sakeen Wright who played in the late 90s, who really reminds me of Gerald Hodges. One of the things that he does well is he moves with his legs extremely well. A big, strong guy that can break tackles and buy some time for receivers downfield. But once you force him out of the pocket and put pressure on him, he's prone to be making some mistakes, especially later in the season. He's been throwing a few interceptions that has to concern Paulsboro. They want to be able to put him in the position to not have to really think too much about where he's going with the reads. They want to get him reacting to things, use his athleticism today. If they're able to do that, Gerald Hodges should be able to have a fine day. For Glassboro, they need to be able to put pressure on him.
On the other side of the ball, Glassboro boasts a pair of breakers, both game breakers, and namely their quarterback Justin Breaker, accounting for 18 touchdowns on the season, 5 interceptions defensively. Again, a fine two-way player, someone that Paulsboro will have to stop.
Well, he plays basketball, and it's pretty fitting because he bounces around. This is a guy who was at Glassboro, went to Shalleck, had tremendous success there, came back to Glassboro in his senior season. He comes over with his brother Timmy Breaker, who can play the outside and will split out at wide receiver. But this is a kid, Rob, that's just been tremendous with a great arm. What he does is he likes to set and throw. So what Paulsboro is going to try to do is bring some pressure against him, try to keep him in the pocket and force him to throw the ball. Don't let him set his feet, though. You got to get him moving. If you can get him outside and start making him run around a little bit, maybe throw some blitz packages at him, then maybe he can make some mistakes. But a kid that can really have a lot of precision passing, if he's on, he's able to find a lot of different receivers, and it's very difficult defense against him. This is a team with a lot of weapons, and they'll try to exploit every bit of that Paulsboro defense.
Well, we saw Paulsboro thorough in all ends of the game last week. They're going to have to be strong in their special teams play, which they traditionally are. For Glassboro, they're going to have to overcome the aura of that Paulsboro tradition with the Breaker brothers. Stick around. It's going to be a classic. We'll have it for you after this. Nice job. Welcome back to Glassboro High School. We are about to get underway. Tremendous crowd on hand. Crisp, clear afternoon here at Glassboro High School. Both teams really prepared for today in a big way. Of course, Paulsboro, particularly, we had last week, coming off an impressive win over West Deptford. And before I go any further, I want to wish congratulations to West Deptford High School winning the Group 2 championship. Yeah. There you see Glenn Howard. He was victorious over that West Deptford team. And that really speaks to the level of play we're going to see here today.
Right. I mean, you take a look at that too, Rob. You talked about the game last week against West Deptford. Glassboro playing against Deptford earlier on Thursday. West Deptford and Paulsboro getting it together on Saturday afternoon. Glassboro just that extra day to be able to prepare for this Paulsboro team. And I can't help to say Paulsboro last week in a very emotional game. We'll see how they respond from that. Do they come out a little bit flat? Do they come out just as charged up? I think both these teams know what's at stake here. I think including Paulsboro, it's not just another South Jersey Group 1 championship. And Glassboro has become one of the rivals for this team, especially when you get to the South Jersey Group 2, Group 1 tournament. I think the emotions are going to be high coming out of the gates here, right at the kickoff.
Gerald Hodges, who we spoke about, along with Marcus Gaines, back to receive the opening kick. We mentioned that special teams likely an integral part of success for Paulsboro should they be victorious today. Kicking off, Roderick Tunstall, a man of many talents for these Glassboro Bulldogs, walking in, had an opportunity to see Tim Haggerty. He said, give a shout out. Quarterback who led this Glassboro team now at Rowan, and he's on hand to watch this, and we're underway. Return, it's Hodges. Hodges spins, still on his feet, and they're going to roll a knee down at the 29-yard line. First down and 10 for the Paulsboro Red Raiders. There you see Gerald Hodges, 6'3", 215-pound junior. He's had an impressive season. We mentioned before, he has a tremendous amount of interest in following Alex Silvestro to Rutgers University.
And they have a tremendous amount of interest in him. He probably projects as a defensive back for Rutgers if he decides to go there. This is a kid that's a very physical kid, strong. Again, like we talked about in the open, he can break tackles and make additional time for the receivers to get open downfield.
I formation for Hodges on their first play from scrimmage. And he'll hand it off to Gaines. Gaines quickly into the secondary. He picks up about 7, so a big pickup here for Paulsboro to start things.
They look like Danian Green, the junior, 6'2", 225 pounds, makes his move upfield as a defensive end. And Gaines is able to just shoot right past him, and a nice gainer and big hit at the end of that play. But it's going to bring up a 2nd and short.
Gaines coming into today, 610 yards on 104 carries. He's had himself an impressive season. Both of these teams boasting quite a few weapons. And Hodges, a talented quarterback who's not afraid to throw the football. Again, Hodges gets it away to Gaines, and he is taken down. Tremendous penetration inside. It looked like it was Ralph Carr Jr.
Yeah, 5'6", 156-pound senior. And if you remember, last year on this field, we had Ralph Carr go down with a bad injury to his elbow. Knifing through, you see the speed from Carr going up against this Paulsboro offensive front with Gilchrist. Doku had the big interception last week. Phillips, Cosgrove, and Gataski make up the offensive line for the Raiders. Nice size, a couple guys at 250 pounds. Stephon Archie late, we'll see if he's going to be in this game. He was taking his SATs, he's the running back. Darren Carter, the fullback. Gaines Quarles, a big wide receiver, and Grimes, the tight end.
Back to pass, Hodges flushed out of the pocket, and he's sacked! A big loss here, and the Glassboro defense has come out to play.
Laverne Harris, another senior, making a play. You see the speed for Glassboro. A charged up sideline, a charged up fan base here in the crowd. You already talked about how many people are here, Rob, and it's an exciting start for the Bulldogs who want to exercise the demons for Paulsboro over the last few years, winning that Group 1 championship.
And Paulsboro forced to punt it away, a low-line drive which will bounce at the 47-yard line and be down right about there. Glassboro with excellent field position to start things after the fine defensive stop by the Bulldogs.
And trying to create problems in the backfield. You could already see that Glassboro wants to be able to do that defensively. Offensively, they're going to go behind this guy, Justin Breaker, 6'1", 185-pound senior, who's got a terrific arm. We've seen him in big games, and he's able to get into a rhythm. Once he gets into that rhythm, very difficult to defense against. Has a great arm, especially to the sideline routes. You'll see that probably here today.
High formation for the Bulldogs. Breaker under center. And play action. Breaker will roll out and throw underneath. He has a man. He'll pick up about 6.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Glassboro go to the air early if they know that Archie's out or going to be late for this game. You see Donald Davis, a big guy who looks like he may be going to Villanova, 6'4", 230 pounds. Pickford, Weiss, Wilson, and Linen, the offensive lineman. See Carr, one of the running backs, Corey James, a fullback. Tunstall and Breaker will split out with Danian Green, a nice target over the middle, the big tight end.
Corey James on the reception. This time it's going to be Carr, and Carr will not pick up anything. So third down here early for Glassboro. Both defenses have looked strong in the early going. Of course, still about 9 minutes remaining.
You see the defense, the two ends with Grimes and Carter, Sargent, Doak, and Gilchrist up the middle. Maurice Lee has been playing great at linebacker along with the sophomore Zach Greenwald. Two good sophomores for Paulsboro playing linebacker. Joined by another sophomore, Kevin Johnson. That corner had a great game last week. Richard Braxton Hodges, and again, Archie being replaced right now, at least to start the game.
Breaker throws, has a man in the flat. It's Carr. Carr still on his feet, cut down, and he looks like he'll be shy of the first down. So decision time for Herb Nealio. Should it be fourth down? And they're signaling that it is in fact fourth down. They'll call for a measurement. You know, Shawn, this is a team that, again, boasts quite a few weapons. Davis, Baxter, James, Tunstall, and Breaker. No one man you can key on if you're the Paulsboro defense.
Yeah, that really has caused a lot of problems to teams in the Classic Division. You know, there's always that question whether the Classic Division can match up with the Colonial Conference as far as talent goes and talented teams. That hasn't been the case over the years. But Glassboro this year really beat up on its opponents, most of which had problems being able to man up against this Glassboro team. Just too many guys you can key on. And when you have that problem, Breaker's able to shoot the ball out. They mix it up with the running game, and when you're able to get the run game established, that opens things up for the quarterback Breaker, who can throw the deep ball. And again, the touch that he has makes him, I think, a cut above most of your high school quarterbacks.
Well, given the length here, they're going to go for it. Of course, in Paulsboro territory, about half a yard, fourth down. And it's going to be James with Carr in the backfield behind Breaker. Tunstall in motion. Breaker keeps. Breaker, he's going to be very close. Very close.
I don't think he got a good spot either. Ran right into the arms. Looked like that was Grimes on the play. Grimes, 6'1", 205 pounds. A senior, just waiting with open arms for Breaker.
This is going to be literally inches one way or the other. Shawn, what do you think?
It looked like to me he might have been just a little bit short.
He's short. There you see, about half of a football. And Paulsboro comes up big. Grimes stopping the Glassboro rush. Tremendous defensive effort by Paulsboro, coming off of a momentum swing after Glassboro dropping Paulsboro for a pair of losses.
You see the last meeting between these two teams last year, almost a full year. In the second last season, Paulsboro able to win another Group 1 title, become the defending Group 1 champions this season.
Formation Hodges, and he'll keep Hodges still on his feet into the secondary, still bouncing off tackles. First down, Gerald Hodges, and that clearly shows how difficult it is to bring Hodges down. Let's take a look at the Bulldogs D.
Yeah, you see the defensive ends with Harris and Green, two good bookends with Davis and Reyes and Smith up the middle. Good size at 230, 242, and 250. The two seniors, Corey James and Ralph Carr, with terrific speed. Tunstall, Breaker, Baxter, and Davis. A good junior secondary. All of them, of course, return next season.
Inky Mears in motion. They'll reset as Grimes switches sides. I formation, the pitch, and it's going to be Gaines. Gaines cuts, and he's stopped after a pickup of one.
Paulsboro may have the advantage of seeing a really good defensive team last week against West Deptford. They really matched up well against Paulsboro. defensively, and I'm not sure if Glassboro really saw the type of defense that Paulsboro is going to bring. A tremendous amount of speed defensively, and Paulsboro will be able to get to the ball, but you've already seen the speed that the Bulldogs possess, especially at those lineback positions. They're going to try and get to Hodges again, force him into mistakes.
Hodges, quick drop, quarterback draw. Hodges into the secondary, still on his feet. Gerald Hodges inside the 10. Touchdown, Paulsboro. 48-yard touchdown run for the junior, and Paulsboro strikes first.
See the Paulsboro faithful, the opposite sidelines, they got caught on a blitz. Glassboro tried to use a blitz. They brought Laverne Harris from the outside and a couple of linebackers, and there was a big open space right in the middle of the Glassboro defense that Hodges took full advantage of.
Torrey Palomini on to attempt the point after. His kick is good, and Paulsboro strikes first, 7-0, Red Raiders. There you see Glenn Howard urging his team on. We mentioned before that Paulsboro defeated Glassboro each of the last 2 Group 1 championship games, 20-0 as we saw graphically last year, 17-14, the overtime classic we had here on Comcast in 2005. Paulsboro with a total of 16 Group 1 championships.
It's just a dominant team, not only in football. Everyone knows about the wrestling program, a terrific athletic program, great athletes, and tremendous pride. You know, one of the things that Paulsboro doesn't have to teach is really to get the kids excited about sports and get into the season, do what they have to do in the off-season to work out. It's just a tradition for this team. That's what you do at Paulsboro. You play sports, you take leadership roles when it's your turn, and everything geared in your life as a young player who is involved in sports is wrapped up into that tradition.
Gary Grimes will kick it away for Paulsboro. Back to receive for Glassboro. It's going to be Christopher Baxter along with Corey James.
It doesn't hurt when you have somebody like Gerald Hodges, a 6'3" quarterback who is an ox, who runs like a gazelle. He's a big, strong kid that has great speed. Just a gifted physical kid that has been able to lead this football team. And I can't help but remember 2 years ago, Rob, Gerald Hodges, there you see him right there. Gerald Hodges, they weren't even sure if he was really going to become the quarterback. They really didn't think that they had one that was going to step up and be a real playmaker. He did that last season, and the rest is history.
Squib to the 18-yard line, and a big hit laid out here. That looked like it was Paulsboro's Zach Greenwald. He's the leading tackler on this team, just a sophomore, and someone that's only going to get better these next 2 years.
He makes the calls as a linebacker, a sophomore, probably one of the more talented sophomores, a terrific wrestler as well. There you see the season so far for Glassboro, 6-0 at home, 4-1 for Paulsboro. That one loss was a forfeit loss.
Of course, essentially both of these teams undefeated coming into today.
On the field.
The pitch, and again, breaker. It's James. James bouncing off one tackle, and now he loses the football. And Paulsboro has it. Casey Grimes on the recovery.
Well, what a momentum shift after Glassboro came out charged up. Paulsboro has swung the momentum. That 4th and 1 stop by the Red Raiders, where Grimes made the tackle, really has shifted momentum in favor of Paulsboro. It looked like James had room to cut up the field. Now he's talking about that from running backs. So sometimes you don't want to try and use just your God-given talent with speed. You need to be smart with the football, and he probably should have cut the ball back upfield.
Again, the I formation and second effort by Darren Carter yields about 3 or 4 more yards. It was the second effort from Corey James that resulted in the fumble. He slid off the one tackle, exposed the football, and Grimes, opportunistic, falling on the loose ball.
We should have read his blocker probably a little bit better that time. Looked like he was giving him the inside position and probably should have cut it upfield. But nice stick on that last play by Baxter. And this is a very physical game so far, Rob. We've seen a couple of big hits already early in this game, only midway through the first quarter.
Again, high formation for Hodges. And he'll hand it to Gaines. Gaines showing some patience, reading a hole, picking up about 3, and it'll bring up a makeable 3rd down.
Yeah, this is where it becomes tough for Glassboro. You'll probably see the ball in Hodges' hand here and give him the option with a 3rd and short. They might give him the option to throw or run with it. And the best way to do that is maybe roll him out. So Glassboro probably going to lean to the far side of the field where they have a little bit more room.
Darren Carter, the fullback for Hodges. And again, stringing it outside. Gaines looks to cut inside. Loose football. It's on the ground, and it's Glassboro football. Paulsboro returns the favor, and the Bulldogs will take over.
One of the reasons, Rob, is these guys are really playing physical right now. That's forcing some fumbles. These big hits. And I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. One of the things Woodbury was able to do was become successful against Paulsboro with its speed and creating turnovers. And Glassboro doing the same thing. You get those speedy linebackers coming in and jarring the ball loose. You're just not expecting to hit that quick.
Tunstall and Breaker split left. Breaker, the brother, into the flat, finds James. James underneath, and he'll pick up about 8.
That's a great job by James right there. That was a perfect catch. He cuts back upfield, makes what he can out of the play. Doesn't try to do too much. Surrounded by Paulsboro defenders. But you cut it back upfield and you're able to pick up maybe 3 or 4 yards and give yourself a 2nd and short.
2nd down, we'll call it 2. Carr with James in the backfield for the Bulldogs. 2 receivers split right. And the draw. Carr. First down, Bulldogs. That'll be their first of the afternoon as we're just inside the 4-minute mark. Group 1 championship game.
One of the things that Paulsboro doesn't really have to do with too much is getting an equal opponent in the trenches. And I think Glassboro this season, it's a pretty evenly matched offensive and defensive line.
The pitch, and again, a nice chunk of change. Stephen Davis picks up about 7.
In fact, West Deptford at the end of last week's game started to look like they started to gain a little bit of an advantage, which they've been able to do all season long against its opponents. But they were able to kind of get more of a push off in the offensive line. You're missing last year's Demetrius Hester, along with Alex Silvestro along the offensive and defensive lines for Paulsboro. A couple of key losses from last season.
Whitaker split left for the Bulldogs. Short 2nd down, and again a handoff. It's Davis. Davis cut down, but not before picking up the first down. Picks up about 4 yards, and the Glassboro Bulldog offense starting to roll.
Davis is a guy who leads the team in touchdowns. He leads the team in touches. He had 79 carries coming into the game. You look at those average per touch for this team: 6.9, 8.7, 9.3.
3 receiver set, and a handoff right up the gut. About 4 yards. That was James.
You see Big Davis getting up Donald Davis, who's a big physical offensive lineman for Glassboro. A senior, 6'4", 230 pounds, a good student. Looks like he'll be playing some Division II football. And I know a lot of recruiters likes his size at 6'4". They really think he can fill out.
2 minutes remain in this first quarter. Breaker, quick drop, throws the slant pattern, has his man across the middle. Big hit laid out, but a fine play. Timothy Whitaker picks up the first down.
Just a simple slant, but Rob, that's where you see the touch on this slant. What a perfect pass right into the gut of Whitaker. And it wasn't like that he was completely open, just that ball was thrown perfectly by Breaker. And that's what I think sets him apart from most quarterbacks at the high school level.
Split wide right is Justin Breaker's brother, Tim, along with the inside man, Robert Tunstall. Breaker again, hand it off to Davis. Davis, hog-tied, and they're going to call a penalty.
I'm not too sure if that was Greenwald. It looked like he over-pursued on the play and just had to reach back, grab the face mask of Davis, and that's going to be a 15-yard. It might have been Grimes, actually, who reached back.
I don't know that he grabbed the face mask, though. I think he got the back of his shirt. And yet they're calling a face mask penalty.
His head looked like it turned pretty good. I'm going to disagree with you, Rob. I think he got him by the helmet.
Okay. 5-yard variety, nonetheless. And it's first down.
It's called a catch and release.
I don't know much about fishing.
That's all I know is catch and release. I usually wake up to that in the mornings. You know, ESPN's on, and Saturday mornings they got some guy, Jimmy Houston or something like that, a little fishing.
Wouldn't know. First and short for Breaker. Play action, he's rolling right. Has a man in the end zone, throws it up, and Hodges on the defense, covering Roderick Tunstall. And Breaker was wise to throw that out of play because Hodges had excellent coverage. Why not go for the home run there? It's first down and short. It's a great opportunity.
What you do is, with this Paulsboro defense being real speedy, at least you open it up a little bit more. You know, make them think that you're going to go deep a couple of times and give your receivers some extra steps.
Just 58 seconds remain in the first quarter of the Group 1 championship game. Paulsboro leading 7-0. Gerald Hodges, a 48-yard touchdown run. Second down for the Bulldogs out of the I formation. Breaker will pitch. Finds Davis. A lot of running room. Davis cuts it inside. Spins. A nice pickup for the talented 5'9" junior.
Well, one of the things that has to concern you if you're a Paulsboro fan is the push that Glassboro is getting up front. They're backing up that Paulsboro defense in front a couple of yards off the line of scrimmage on each play, and that's concerning. You know, one of the things that you're going to have to look for is Sergeant Doka and Gilchrist make more of an impact at the line of scrimmage.
Again, the handoff to Davis. Strings it outside. Davis. And this time, cut down. A tremendous individual effort there by Paulsboro's Kevin Johnson. You know, in the last 2 weeks, I've been nothing but impressed with Kevin Johnson.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a kid that was in the Tri-County Midget Football League. He was tearing it up, and they really were excited about him coming in. And there's even talk about moving him offensively next year. He might be the Paulsboro quarterback next year. And he's a terrific athlete, also plays a little basketball. But you're right, I think he really grew up over the last 2 weeks.
That'll do it for the first quarter. We step away. Paulsboro by 7.
The voice of an angel.
Welcome back to Glassboro High School. Rob Christ along with my partner Shawn, Leary. Second quarter about to begin, and Paulsboro on top, 7-0 in the Group 1 championship game. A lot riding on this game, of course, the Group 1 championship. The mayors of both Glassboro and Paulsboro have also had a little side bet. We'll talk about that after this play. Second down for Breaker. Deep drop. Breaker again in the flat. Has his man. It's Carr, and not a whole lot there for Ralph Carr. Now, Shawn ran into the Honorable Leo McCabe, the mayor of Glassboro.
All complaints are going to go to the other office next year.
First of all, this is the first time that I met Mayor McCabe, and I've got to wonder a little bit
Ohio State guy.
Well, I have to wonder a little bit about Mayor McCabe because he said a lot of nice things about you.
Well, he's an intelligent guy. He went to, he's a big Ohio State fan, a big Notre Dame fan, and really loves his football. He's a good guy. I really think he was an asset to not only Glassboro, the whole entire community.
Of course, he is the mayor.
Very bright man.
Of course, he is the mayor of Glassboro. John Berzicelli, the mayor of Paulsboro. They have a little wager on this game. We'll talk about that. Third down here. Breaker, quick drop, throws, slant pattern, has his man, touchdown! Roderick Tunstall in traffic. Glassboro awaiting the extra point to tie this one up.
Great play call that time to get Breaker the opportunity to use that precision passing. There he finds Tunstall. Going to try and even up the score here.
Robert Tunstall on to attempt the point after. Things a little shaky with their point afters. And there you see an indication of that. Tunstall hitting the left upright. Paulsboro still with a 1-point edge. I mentioned going into this game, one of the reasons that Paulsboro is always on top is they take a tremendous amount of pride in their special teams play. Now, that's not to suggest that Glassboro does not, but they have really done a great job perennially. And again, right now they hold a 1-point edge.
Well, they got Dom Antonini on the opposite sidelines, and my apologies to every other special teams coach in South Jersey, but he is one of the best, if not the best. And he works out with not only his kids, he's got Honorado from Delsey that works out with him. Siaco from Gloucester Catholic. West Deptford kickers have always worked out with Dominic Antonini. They have something called the Breakfast Club. I know we talked about it before, but they really take an amazing amount of precautions and also take some time out of practice just to work on special teams. How many times have we seen it where Paulsboro has made a play in the playoffs on special teams that determine the outcome? And that's a big point for Glassboro not be able to put on that scoreboard. Paulsboro hold that lead.
Tunstall kicks it away, bounces shy, and Gaines gets hammered. Big hit laid out by Shawn Warren, the senior. Paulsboro deep in their own end. Let's finish that story up. Leo McCabe and John Berzicelli, the two mayors. A little friendly wager. They said they used to bet all the time because they used to play on Thanksgiving. They've since changed it up. But since they've played the last few years, Leo said, listen, let's put a little bit on this. So first is dinner at your choice of restaurants. And should Leo or Glassboro win the game or the bet, then Berzicelli has to surrender a case of Mobile One right out of Paulsboro.
Okay.
And from Glassboro, should Paulsboro win a plethora of desserts from Ricky's Bakery here in Glassboro. The handoff and a big stop, penalty flag down, but Jamie Reyes.
That's Reyes. Jamie Reyes. 242 pounds. It's going against Paulsboro anyway. Rob, I don't think I've seen the amount of hitting that I've seen early in this game, maybe since I've been covering high school sports here. They have come out with an emotion and a passion to put punishing hits on each other, and I don't think I've ever seen as many hits. Here you see, this is including today the defense from both teams. Very, very even with Paulsboro giving up 5.8, Glassboro 5.3 points per game. Very stingy defenses.
First down now, deep in their own end. Glassboro on defense has really stepped up things after the Hodges touchdown. Hodges in trouble. Goes down, now cuts the other way. Hodges still on his feet. Hodges cut down all the way back to the 6-yard line.
Danian Green not falling for it. One of the things that Hodges has done throughout the last 2 years is being able to make huge plays on broken plays. But he's unable to use that speed against most of these Glassboro defenders who can match him.
They give Hodges some forward progress at about the 8-yard line. So
Glenn Howard not at all enjoying what his team offensively is doing. This is at times Paulsboro can look like this.
2nd and 27. Hodges will throw the screen, dumps it incomplete.
But Rob, you have to take the good and the bad with Hodges. You know, there's times that he will make mistakes. He'll cost you some yards. He may throw an interception. But he's also going to make plays in similar situations. I mean, he's just such a gifted athlete. There you see the crowd. There's still people trying to get into this game. They have lined the fences. Just a great crowd on hand. You see a bunch of people still waiting to get in.
3rd down. 27 for a first. 9:40 left. Deep drop. Hodges is going to throw it across the middle. Overthrows his man, looking for his tight end. Chris Baxter got a handout. Paulsboro forced a punt. This Glassboro crowd is into it. They're waiting for redemption.
So everybody can see, and you have to keep the walkways clear. The personnel to get behind the walkways. Thank you.
So Grimes will punt it away for Paulsboro. And back to receive, it's Robert Tunstall. Good rush. End over end kick, bounces at the 41, bounces all the way past Tunstall. Tunstall now will pick it at the 40. Cuts back inside, 45-yard line, tripped up. Nice tackle made. And that was by Paulsboro's Shawn McLean, but an impressive punt. And there's a penalty flag down as well. 53-yard punt for the Red Raiders, and now we'll see who this penalty will go against.
So you see the offensive production for Glassboro this year, 438 points for the Bulldogs, only 63 given up.
You want to talk about a change of events here. The holding penalty against Glassboro now puts it back to their 30-yard line. So that effectively works out to a 62-yard punt.
Great job by Grimes. That's a position that was manned by Alex Silvestro over the last couple of years, and Grimes has filled in nicely.
You mentioned Silvestro, of course, McCabe and Berzicelli, the two mayors with a big bet. Don't think that George Johnson and Alex Silvestro, starters at Rutgers University, don't have a little something on today.
I know one of them's here.
Handoff, and again, not a whole lot there for Ralph Dahl.
Saw Alex walking into the stadium earlier. Yeah, it was fun watching last night. I was watching the Rutgers football game on ESPN against Louisville, and 2 nights ago, and I saw both of them in on a play, and they're celebrating after, bumping each other, and it was just kind of fun to see that those two kids probably are 2 gifted athletes over the last 2 years in Gloucester County with George Johnson of Glassboro and Alex Silvestro of Paulsboro. Getting significant time along with Ryan D'Imperio, Washington Township playing linebacker there.
The pitch, again it's Davis. Davis strung out, and Davis will pick up maybe one. A long 3rd down now for the Bulldogs.
Also joined by Cordell Young. Sorry, Robert, Cordell Young. I don't want to forget to mention him, although he's injured this year, not playing for Rutgers, will be counted on over the next couple of years. A running back there with terrific speed. This plays a lot of special teams.
I mentioned before just how critical special teams are. Right now, a 1-point edge for for Paulsboro because of the point after. And you look at that big punt by Grimes, backing up Glassboro. Critical 3rd down now for the Bulldogs.
Paulsboro maybe showing the blitz up the middle.
Breaker, quick drop, throws it out over Johnson. Johnson gets his fingertips on it as Breaker looking for Tunstall, and Glassboro will be forced to punt this away.
The teams have tried to go up against Kevin Johnson. He's a sophomore at 5'8", and they try to go up against his size. We saw, some teams trying to match up against him and throw over top. But one of the things, even though he's not real big, he has tremendous leaping ability, a good basketball player, and we've seen him deflect a couple of passes for teams trying to go up against him. He's just a kid that might not have the great size, but certainly works his way around it. One of the better corners.
Tunstall, a low-line drive away from Hodges. Hodges picks it up at the 31-yard line. He'll go forward, and Hodges will pick up about 8 or 9. So first down for the Red Raiders. And there you see the Red Raiders' offensive output.
And that's not counting the 2 forfeits. Well, that is counting the 2 forfeits. 233 points to 70 points this year, and that's not counting the that's counting the 2 forfeited games. So you had to take away some of those points.
First and 10, Red Raiders. Hodges will hand it off. And again, not a whole lot there for Darren Carter.
Nothing doing up front. Trying to work over the middle of that defense. There's just not a lot of space there. But Glassboro really combines, and that's one of the things the defense has done so well. In the inside, they really bulked up. They have the big guys in Davis and company, but they have just tremendous speed in the secondary and the linebackers.
Second down. Call it 9. Split left, and Hodges breaking tackles. Hodges on his feet. Big block laid out, and Hodges picks up the first down. What a fine block made by Willie Anderson.
Little Flip, the younger son of Willie Flipper Anderson, laid out that punishing block, and Rob, a lot of people probably remember him playing with the Rams. There's been some excellent athletes over the years playing for both of these schools. In fact, I was talking with Byron Dixon, the assistant coach with Paulsboro. He said the last time that these two teams have gotten together was 1987 on this field. 1983, the previous year before that, in a Group 1 championship. He says that was the last time I've been to this field. 1983, he was the quarterback here, going up against Gordy Lockbaum, Shawn Redmond, and the guy who didn't play for Paulsboro in that game, Emmett Merchant, the kid that played for Georgia Tech many years ago.
Hodges will hand it off, and a big pickup around the corner. Stephon Archie has found himself into the game, and a penalty flag here.
He jumps in, it might be a late hit, and if that is a late hit, I didn't see. But Archie, that is
a flag on the play.
Plus for Paulsboro to bring him in. Took his SATs this morning, and Archie, probably the most gifted running back, certainly the one that's had the most success during his career. He was a member of the West Deptford Eagles, transferred over to Paulsboro last season.
That's Edward Wysick, our referee. Our umpire today, Gary Rosenberg. James Shirelli, the linesman. James Feligno, your line judge. Donald D'Amico, the back judge. And on the clock, Joe Mulhern. So a big personal foul, the late hit out of bounds. And all of a sudden, Paulsboro finds itself in the red zone. Ball at the 20-yard line. First and 10 for the Red Raiders. 6:17 left. Hodges pitches. They fake the reverse. And a nice tackle made. It looked like Corey James.
Yep, Corey James knifing through again. Boy, these are some talented linebackers on both sides. Archie's a guy that really sees the field extremely well. Probably miss him more defensively to start this game than they did offensively. You can bring Gaines in, run the ball with Carter, do a little bit more there, but defensively, he's a good one.
Second down. No gain on the play. Hodges again to Carter, and Carter is met immediately. He probably lost a yard.
Ran into big Donald Davis.
And if Glassboro keeps backing up Paulsboro, they're going to find themselves out of field goal position, will the Red Raiders. Third down, loss of 2, 3rd and 12.
Davis, a real big kid that you see along with his teammates on defense, but he worked out at that combine, a 7-day or 1-day camps in Villanova, South Houston Temple this year, but that elite combine that he worked out. Now, it's one of the things he credits in the offseason, becoming a better overall player, just being around better competition and learning things and picking things up.
Hodges drops across the middle. Grimes in and out of his hands. Good opportunity, a fine throw. And Grimes would probably like that back.
That's a tough drop in the middle of the Glassboro defense. Was able to find some open space, and Hodges laid the ball exactly where you need. You need to be able to help your quarterback out, especially if he's struggling in the last couple of weeks throwing the football. And Grimes just losing some concentration there. I think he might have looked up and lost where the football was, trying to get it. Wasn't the perfect pass either, but Hodges has struggled over the last couple of weeks. You got to be able to do anything you can.
This would have been a 39-yard field goal. They will go for it on 4th down. Hodges again, play action pass. Hodges into the flat and hit immediately is Darren Carter, well short of the 1st down. Big stop by the Bulldog defense. They'll take over with 4:41 left. Plenty of time to run the field.
Ralph Carr coming up, making the hit, the heart and soul of this Glassboro team. Again, only 5'6", 156 pounds, but he's a kid that plays with a lot of speed and some unsuspecting power as well. He'll come up and lay a licking.
Breaker back to pass, throws into coverage, almost caught by Tunstall. Double coverage, and Tunstall almost came away with it.
Yeah, I mean, you can see right there, Rob, Breaker's accuracy. He had 3 Paulsboro defenders against him, but he's able to throw the ball up where Tunstall's either going to come down with it, or it's going out of bounds. Of course, Herb Nealio, knowing this, has a tremendous amount of confidence in his quarterback to make good decisions with the football and also be able to put it in the proper places to not get it picked.
High for the Breaker. Handoff. Carr. Actually, that's Davis.
Even Davis would have carried.
Picks up about 5.
But you could see
Picks up 5.
where if you give Breaker a chance to set his feet and throw, he becomes such a more dangerous quarterback. Where on the opposite end, you want Hodges running with the football. That's going to suck the linebackers in. He becomes a better passer there just because he's got more space. With Breaker, it's a little bit different in contrast to quarterbacks. He really wants to set his feet and use that terrific arm and accuracy to be able to get the ball downfield.
We are inside the 4-minute mark. Critical 3rd down for the Bulldogs. One receiver set, and they're going to pitch. It's going to be Davis. He strings it outside. Davis is hit after about 1 or 2 yards. Still driving forward. And with that second effort, Davis gets the 1st down. What an individual effort by Stephen Davis. It looked like he had nothing. He came away with everything.
That time he brought his friends with him, will and desire. He just was able to will himself for the 1st down, and that you have to be upset with your Paulsboro defense if you're the coaching staff. But what an outstanding individual effort by Davis, just wanting that 1st down and keeping his legs driving and his momentum going forward.
1st and 10 with 3:15 left. Breaker rolls right. Has a lot of room. Breaker will tuck it underneath. And Breaker cut down very close to the 1st down. Zach Greenwald on the hit.
Picks up about 9.
About half a yard short of the 1st down as we broach the 3-minute mark.
Breakers has received a lot of interest from some different schools. I know UConn, Stony Brook, James Madison, Temple, even Boston College has shown some interest in Breaker.
2nd and short. Down to 2:35 left. Again, the eye. Breaker throws across the middle, and a quick hitter trying to find Green, but the only green he found was the turf.
Yeah, Paul, one of the rare times you're going to see a misfire from Breaker. He's trying to find Green. Get the tight end. He's got good size at 6'2". He's trying to get him some open space over the middle. There you see 5'8".
Touchdown pass earlier to Tunstall. 2:31 left. 3rd down and 1 at the 39-yard line.
Talk about some bloodlines. Also, I don't know if anybody knows this, but Breaker is the cousin of Sakeen Wright.
Timeout here by the Bulldogs.
Guy who played that position, probably one of the most successful quarterbacks, if not the most successful quarterback in Glassboro history. Just a tremendous amount of ability in Sakeen Wright, now playing in the Arena Football League. There you see the leading scores for both teams. Archie, you know what he means for the Paulsboro team with 10 touchdowns. Joins Hodges in that backfield. And Tunstall, 13 touchdowns. Davis with 10.
Basketball teams open with the Boston Catholic Branch boys.
So Glassboro, critical decision here. 3rd down and 1, of course. Paulsboro held earlier on a 4th down and 1. That was on a Breaker keeper.
Good luck to all the teams. Also, our cheerleaders will go around the stadium collecting donations for the Al Califero Foundation.
See if they keep it in the hands of Breaker. Got a full house backfield for the Bulldogs.
It'd be interesting to see what they do here. They already went for a 4th and short. Tried to keep it with Breaker on the ground. Was unsuccessful. Paulsboro stacking the line of scrimmage.
Breaker hands it off. Davis strings it outside. Davis cut down in the backfield. And I don't really like that call, Shawn.
No,
You're shaking your head no.
No, I don't like it either. Yeah, against the Paulsboro team, I just don't understand why sometimes you try to think to go outside when you have very, 3rd and short, 4th and very short. Just go straight ahead. And I think more times than not, especially against a speedy defense, you're not going to make that play work.
Not only that, you have a 3-man backfield, so you're allowing more men on the line of scrimmage, essentially, and then you're going to string it out when you only have half a yard to go. Find Donald Davis and run behind him.
I agree. I'm not a big fan of that call when I see coaches try to get to the outside. Of course, I'm sure it's worked before, and they find a matchup that they like. It's just, you see it very often on every level of football. That play
Tunstall's punt taken by Archie, and Archie knocked out of bounds. A nice spiraling punt by Tunstall. 1:40 left. Still fair enough amount of time for Paulsboro to move this football. They're at their own 36-yard line.
Anytime that you have Hodges in the backfield and you're able to get him where he has the football in his hands, there's no time that you would run it out. And this is a kid that can make a play happen in the blink of an eye.
This always seems like the time when Paulsboro shines, right before that first half. And this will be a critical defensive series for Glassboro. 1st down, 10. Hodges. Deep drop. Hodges gets hit after the throw. Well beyond his receiver. Looking for Darius Quarles. Good coverage. Whitaker and Baxter.
You have Paris Smith, Donald Davis, Danian Green putting pressure on Hodges. And it's forcing him to not be able to really read the defense and be able to find somebody downfield. And he's ultimately just throwing the ball up. And that's where he can find himself into some problems, and he has found himself into some problems over the last few weeks. But you got to credit the Glassboro defense, and conversely, the Paulsboro offensive line has to do a better job of giving Hodges more time.
Hodges, draw. Archie fumbles the football. It's loose, and the Bulldogs fall on it. Timothy Whitaker on the fumble recovery. Archie, very disappointed. And now it's Paulsboro who will have to come up with the big defensive stop.
I think that might have been Reyes who made the initial hit out of Archie's hands. He's a kid that's being contacted by some schools. Had a great game against Gloucester earlier in the year.
Breaker into the flat and nobody there.
I think Glenn Howard was the closest man open. You see Herb Nealio. Reyes.
Let's go, baby. We need that. We need that.
Reyes' father played in California for the San Diego Storm. Also had an Uncle Gene who played semi-pro football in Maryland.
Second down and 10. Out of the shotgun. Breaker. Plenty of time. Good protection. Throws it up and in and out of the hands. Stephon Archie was back there and he had great position. He seemed to get lost. And that ball almost caught by Wilburn.
Yeah, it looked like he said, I'm not going to go for the interception. I'm just going to make sure that Whitaker doesn't come up for it. It looked like the one had been Wilburn who was out there. James Wilburn Jr. A junior.
So a critical third down and 10. Big for both teams. Glassboro falling on the Archie fumble. Yet to move the ball at the Paulsboro 41-yard line. Two receivers and Breaker will keep. Breaker on his feet and knocked out of bounds. They'll be shy of the first down, fourth down. And we'll see if Paulsboro will go for it or punt it away. They're going to punt it away. The crowd does not like the call, but if I'm Herb Nealio, you got to punt this football.
I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure I wouldn't go for it here, Rob. I mean, they might throw a fake if they have that in the book. He's not lined up deep.
Tunstall. A high punt, and this will bounce and roll backwards down just inside the 20-yard line. 59 seconds left for the Red Raiders.
I mean, I think you could look at it two different ways. It's fourth and manageable 4 or 5 yards for the first down. You're giving Paulsboro still, even where they're positioned on the field, a long ways to work with. I don't think Hodges has shown the ability through the last few weeks to be able to move the team quickly downfield. Of course, one play, one broken tackle could change that. But I don't know if that could be changed right here on this spot of the field, or maybe 15 or 20 yards more. Now, if he breaks the tackle here, he can go all the way 20 yards. He could do the same thing.
Hodges will hand it off. And not a whole lot there. Well, I think another component that you're not taking into account is that back at this end of the field, they're going to play a little bit more cautious. And additionally, on a fourth down, should Paulsboro stop Glassboro, you're going to have a huge momentum lift. Here, both teams acknowledge that it's being played safe, and Paulsboro probably content just to run the ball and maybe run the clock out.
But if I'm looking at it defensively, I look at Hodges and this Paulsboro offense, and it's not a team that's going to be able to get you for 15 here, 20 here, 10 here, 15 here, and work the ball downfield, at least through the air. And that's what it would take to be able to engineer a scoring drive in that minute's time. He can break a tackle here, or they can break a tackle and get into the end zone as easily from this point of the field as they could 15 yards downfield. Now, that being said, if that would happen, he would be crucified here in this Glassboro stands if they allowed up a touchdown from either point of the field.
That'll do it for the first half. The difference, an extra point. We head to break. Group 1 championship game. Paulsboro on top of Glassboro, 7-6. Welcome back to Glassboro High School's South Jersey Group 1 Championship game. Paulsboro leading Glassboro 7-6, about to begin the third quarter. A hard-hitting affair. Shawn mentioned earlier, probably the hardest-hitting game we have seen in some time, if not all time. Paulsboro will kick it away to start things in the third quarter. You see Grimes teeing it up, and back to receive will be the Bulldogs, namely Baxter and Davis. And the kick is away, a high end-over-end kick to be taken at the 6-yard line. Baxter cuts it outside, and Glassboro will start with pretty good field position, about the 32-yard line.
They came out defensively to start the game, did a nice job other than the long Hodges run did the Bulldogs. You see the rushing yardage going in favor of the Raiders without Stephon Archie to start the game. Raiders only 2 yards passing, with the Bulldogs 42 yards through the air. Bulldogs holding the ball a little bit longer, have a couple extra first downs, penalties pretty even. 2 turnovers by the Red Raiders, 1 by the Bulldogs, third down conversions, 2 of 6. Hodges, 5 carries, 54 yards, the big touchdown. Breaker.
Here's Carr, and Carr finds a seam. He picks up about 3 yards. Second down and 7. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by the Star Ledger and NJ.com. Check out NJ.com/highschoolsports for all your up-to-the-minute scores and stories. The Star Ledger and NJ.com. Everything Jersey. Second down.
And you can also, locally, you can get on NJ.com. You were able to get a couple of webcasts.
And here's James. James cuts it outside. Spinning. Still James on his feet. James has done an extraordinary job today.
Great balance.
Big pickup all the way down to the 45-yard line. A gain of about 20 yards after 3 or 4 tackles were broken.
James and Carr, you could see these guys that they are willing themselves and getting those extra efforts for first downs. That's what you want to see out of your leaders, especially these guys who are carrying the football. James, the senior, along, Carr, senior as well.
Quickly into Red Raider territory. Carr, a hard, punishing run right up the gut. Another first down. This Glassboro offense ready to rock and roll to start this third quarter.
Great to say about the NJ.com. When the Gloucester County Times has a few webcasts that we have to talk about the week and what's going on in sports. I know Scott Chapelier has done a couple of football previews. Bill Evans, I believe, will be doing some wrestling.
Shameful plug for your paper. First down and 10. Right up the gut, Corey James.
James on a carry, picks up about 3.
It's business. I'm a manager there. You know, you got to throw it out there once in a while.
Why not blur the lines? Second down and 7.
Second and 7.
And I'm a big fan of the Star Ledger and NJ.com being a, they call it a sister paper. I don't like
How much extra money are you getting for this 4-minute plug?
Nothing.
Don't lie to me. Shawn, I know you better than that. Second down. Again, the handoff to Carr. And Carr, again, with a fine second effort, picking up an extra pair of yards. A short third down for the Bulldogs.
Picks up another 3. It'll be third and 2.
We'll call it third down and 2. And Tunstall will come in. They'll replace Timothy Whitaker. Now, they've tried a couple different things here on short third downs. A quick hitter across the middle from Breaker. They've tried to run the ball off tackle and string it outside. One man in the backfield for Breaker. And the handoff. James, a stutter step. James into the secondary. James the first down.
Picks up about 5. First down, Bulldogs.
Well, Corey James has quickly become the story in this second half. A couple of fine runs, and Glassboro knocking on the door.
Everything's got to be done with speed. You don't want to allow Paulsboro to use its speed defensively in those short yardage situations.
The I formation car, a good push from that Glassboro line, but finally a stop made after Carr picks up about 3.
Yeah, nice job. Looked like Grimes was in on that tackle along with Greenwald. Nice job by the right side of that Paulsboro defensive line. There you see Darren Carter, number 1 right there. He is the younger brother of Russell Carter. Russell was an outstanding basketball player for the Red Raiders. Went on to play at Notre Dame.
Glassboro again in the red zone, out of the I formation. 2nd down for Breaker. 2 receivers set, split right. And into the secondary again, towards the corner. Touchdown! Stephen Davis puts Glassboro on top. 13-yard touchdown run. And now Glassboro.
Great drive by the Bulldogs, Rob. And we'll see here. Do they go for 2 and try to get that point back? And looks like they're going to. I think this is the right move.
2 receivers split right. Breaker rolls right. Breaker getting forced out of the pocket, throws it in the middle, tipped up, knocked down. The conversion fails. Glassboro, 5-point edge.
Yeah, I think that was the right decision to go for 2 there, Rob. Paulsboro with a pretty accurate and reliable kicking game. You have to expect that they're going to make their extra point, so you try to get it to where it's a 14-7 game.
Well, an impressive start to this second half for the Bulldogs. 8:02 left. Paulsboro awaiting possession for the first time here in the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, you got to give the offensive line credit for the Bulldogs in that drive. Coming out of halftime, they just manned up against the Paulsboro defensive line. Nice job by Herb Neely with some good play calling there on that drive, trying to go through the teeth of the Paulsboro defense. Again, after you see some things during the week, I know he was at that West Deptford-Paulsboro game, and he had to see that West Deptford had some success running up the middle of the field.
The kick off the side of the foot, and that will bounce very close to the out-of-bounds mark. It looks like it did go out of bounds, but Paulsboro somewhat tentative because they wanted to see whether it would stay in or go out. That could have been one heck of an onside kick. Instead, it rolls out, and Paulsboro will take over with very good field position unless they have Glassboro re-kick.
How about the emotions coming out of the players today, Rob? I mean, this Glassboro group is as fired up a team that I've seen against covering high school sports. This game means so much to them. I mean, you saw the emotion out of Paulsboro in a similar situation last week, beating West Deptford for the first time in 4 or 5 seasons. And that's something the seniors hadn't done along with Alex Sylvester. Never were able to beat West Deptford during their high school careers. And just getting that monkey off the back, as the coaches said, walking off that field was...
They will re-kick from the 35-yard line. Again, it's a line drive. Archie now picks it up, bobbles at the 28. Archie is stopped, and Archie would have been wise just to let that go out of bounds. Archie, of course, fumbling the football prior to the end of the first half. And as you mentioned, he's probably thrown off by his schedule today. There you take a look at the Glassboro's undefeated season to this point. They started big with a win over Clayton, and they have not stopped. Of course, right now they hold a 12-7 edge.
One of the more lopsided victories. One of the more lopsided victories that you'd see in a Salem-Glassboro rivalry, a 52-6 score. But you see the dominance of this team. You have to be impressed with what Shalleck was able to accomplish against this team. And
Hodges, and now Carr offside. And this is not the way you want to start your defense. Holding that 5-point edge, you have all the momentum in the world. You have all the emotion on your side in the world, and you're going to shorten things up for Paulsboro. Oftentimes, one first down leads to multiple first downs. You have a shorter field. Gerald Hodges awaiting a big second half here. The Red Raiders, again, with so much tradition on their side. And as a result, because of that, it's the Red Raiders who probably go into this without many fears, whereas if it was Glassboro, it'd probably be the other way around. Had another quick look at Sakeen right here, the former Glassboro great. Gerald Hodges strung outside, and Hodges now cut down. So the 5 yards that Carr relented, Glassboro takes right back, dropping Hodges well back behind the line of scrimmage. 2nd down and 9. Here you see Glenn Howard. Howard, as we have chronicled time and time again, certainly, if not the finest, one of the finest coaches in South Jersey. Tremendous tradition here at Paulsboro, and what he's done here is nothing short of remarkable. 2nd down and 9 for Hodges. Again, the I formation. Play action. Hodges across the middle. Grimes in and out of his hands. Grimes twice now with balls in his hands, unable to reel him in.
I think he's trying to reach that one arm out there and pull it in. He's got to be able to go up and grab it with 2. And it looks like he's just trying to reach and extend that left arm and try to tip it to himself instead of using his body, turning it, and going back for the football.
That play has been consistently there for him, and Grimes each time with catchable footballs, and it's now 3rd down and 9.
To his defense, they're not perfectly thrown balls, but you're able to catch those balls. I mean, if it hits your hands, you should be able to catch it.
High formation for Hodges again. Play action. Hodges with pressure throws it high over Quarles. As the hands in the face of Hodges, Glassboro with a good rush to pressure Gerald Hodges.
That's one of the things. I mean, if you're able to get a pass rush, and this is what I say about Hodges, I think he's just a tremendous talent, probably the most gifted athlete in Gloucester County in the Colonial Conference and also in the Tri-County Conference that you're going to find. But sometimes he isn't able to set his feet. If he doesn't set his feet properly, that's where you get the ball to sail over top of the receiver's heads.
Punt formation, bad snap. Grimes does a nice job of picking it cleanly, and a good punt away. Bounces, and this will roll all the way to the 35-yard line. What an excellent job Grimes has done superbly as a punter today.
Yeah, I mean, he's really done a nice job with his foot. You just want him to do a little bit better with the balls over the middle, and he'll probably be the first one to tell you I should have had at least one of those 2 balls over the middle of the field.
6:47 left in the 3rd quarter. Glassboro on top, 12-7. They will take over again with good field position at the 35-yard line of the Bulldogs. High formation for Breaker. Split left. He has Whitaker along with his brother Timothy Breaker. A handoff to Carr, and he'll pick up about 3. Penalty flag in the area of holding, and that is exactly what it will be. So Glassboro, with an impressive offensive surge the first series, backing themselves up here on the first play in their 2nd series.
And you can ill afford to make mistakes. I mean, you just saw on the first down play from Paulsboro. If you make a mistake on one play, these defenses will not allow you to catch up.
First down and long. It's a spot foul, so it'll be a little bit shy of 20 yards. Saw that Glassboro brought their mascot today. They got the Bulldog down on the field. It's always great to see just other elements of the rivalry and pomp and circumstance of high school football. Breaker, play action pass, flushed out of the pocket. Now getting pressure still on his feet. Hogtie loses the football, but it's fallen on by a Bulldog. That could have been catastrophic.
Breaker window.
Again, they talk about the speed and being able to create turnovers. You wonder why. All season long, we've done a great job securing the football. Why all of a sudden are we putting the ball on the field? And it has a whole lot to do with the speed. You're just not expecting that hit to come as quick as it is, and you're not securing the football in. And when you have speed like Woodbury was able to give against Paulsboro, and now Paulsboro again against Glassboro and against each other, what happens is that linebacker will come up or the defensive man will come up a little quicker than you're expecting. You don't secure the football enough, and that's why you have more turnovers in games like this and against teams with great speed on defense.
2nd and 13, high snap. Breaker does a nice job, sets up the screen. Underneath James. James cut down and another big hit laid out. You mentioned before, Shawn, they've really been hitting on both sides of the football today.
Right, and that's not always the case. You think, all right, a big team, a big powerful hit may jar the ball loose, which it can at times, but usually it's the speed on defense that's going to create turnovers, not necessarily that big pop.
So no gain on the play. 3rd down. I like the call. Kind of slow down that Paulsboro rush, but it results in nothing. And now Zach Greenwald and his Paulsboro Red Raiders will line up here. Again, it's Breaker, this time out of the shotgun. Again, a high snap. Breaker has time and now runs right into the arms of a Paulsboro tackler. Sack made, and Glassboro once again will punt it away.
Great pressure right up the middle. That's what you want to bring. If you're going to bring pressure against Glassboro, you want to do it up the middle and force Breaker to the outside. We've been talking about how he's different from Hodges, where if you allow him to set his feet, he becomes such a more accurate passer. That time, nothing downfield. Great coverage by the secondary, and Doak and Gilchrist and company getting in the Glassboro backfield, able to get the sack.
Tunstall. High punt stopped by the wind. This will go way out of bounds and will not even reach the 1st down.
The original line of scrimmage, yeah.
Right about the original line of scrimmage. So Paulsboro will take over with excellent field position. There you see the Red Raiders, who are 9-2 officially, 11-0 on the field.
Yeah, they had the 2 forfeit losses to Haddon Heights and Gateway. They used an ineligible player. It wasn't somebody who you think like, oh, maybe gave him an extra advantage in either one of those games. It was a kid who went to Gloucester County Christian, and there's a rule that says, well, if you have a kid who wants to play football, he can play for his hometown, even if he goes to a school that doesn't have football. But that doesn't apply to a Christian school. That's why the NJSIAA had to come in and give Paulsboro the 2 losses, who did police themselves and turn themselves in. And
Hodges flushed out of the pocket, now cuts it outside, tries to straight arm, but Whitaker would have nothing of it. Timothy Whitaker, big open field tackle.
One of the unsung heroes for this Glassboro team is Timmy Whitaker, 5'7", 148 pounds. Another one of these seniors for Glassboro who has endured and suffered through the agony of the defeats in the Group 1 championship games against Paulsboro. Want to change their fates here.
2nd down and 13 for the Red Raiders. Again, they took over with excellent field position at the 34-yard line of Glassboro. And again, this Glassboro defense has been very impressive today. Hodges with 3 receivers set, 2 split right. Hodges now with pressure. Hodges spins out of it. Now again in a lot of hurt. 3 men converge on Hodges. Another sack as Davis leads the charge for the Bulldogs.
There you see Justin Breaker loves the defensive effort. Donald Davis bringing the pressure. Hodges tries to go back to the opposite end of the field, but nice job of corralling the quarterback was the Bulldogs. That's what happens a lot of times. If you don't stay true and make sure that you stay in your position, what Hodges will do is try and reverse field, and that's where some of his bigger plays come.
2:15 left in the 3rd quarter. 3rd down and very long. Hodges has a man looking for Quarles and overthrows Quarles.
Looking for the big 6'5" target to go up against Roderick Tunstall. He's going to give up about 8 inches to Quarles. And Quarles is a basketball player, but also plays split end here for the Red Raiders. Trying to find him streaking downfield, probably their biggest threat. No pun intended.
So the Red Raiders forced to punt it away. Grimes has been a weapon all by himself as the punter of this Paulsboro team. Back to receive, it will be Tunstall. Grimes, again, a big rush, and Grimes will get away a good punt. Tunstall will field at the 13-yard line. Now will cut against the grain. Again, cuts it outside. Tunstall still on his feet. Finally brought down. Pick up about 9 yards on the return. So Glassboro able to escape a poor punt, and they'll take over deep in their own end. 1st and 10 with 1:52 left in this third quarter.
Ball thrower about the 23. 1st and 10.
Glassboro love to see this clock just disappear here in the third quarter. Maybe pick up a first down, get it into the fourth quarter, still holding possession.
1st and 10, again an I formation for Breaker. 2 receivers split right. The handoff inside. And again, it looks like there may be a loose ball. It is! Paulsboro off of the fumble. Stephen Davis, the ball carrier. And Zach Greenwald. And the Red Raiders will take over. Another big turnover deep in Glassboro territory.
Just prepared to talk about how Paulsboro will try and tackle the football in these situations where you're kind of deep in your own territory and force turnovers. Again, you have those linebackers able to blitz, hit the ball carrier, and knock the ball loose. I think that was Zach Greenwald, the sophomore, who comes in, knocks it loose, and Paulsboro now with an opportunity to capitalize.
Hodges keeps. Hodges still on his feet. Big pickup by the talented junior.
He picks up about 6 yards, utilizing his speed, and that was a quick decision. If you're going to go to the outside, Rob, that's the way you do against these two teams. There was nothing that was set up. You don't want to have plays that take too long, and that time you're able to just get Hodges out there quickly. He doesn't waste a whole lot of time. He gets to the outside, and he uses his legs to make a nice angle, turn on field, and get about 6 yards.
Split wide right as Quarles. I formation for Hodges. Glassboro shows blitz. Hodges pitches. Archie almost drops. Archie now cuts it back. Archie, maybe 1 yard.
Had Quarles out there blocking, and a nice job up front by Gataski on the right side of that line. But Glassboro converging. When I talk about taking too long, that play took too long. You see how long the Archie was holding the football in the backfield? If you allow Glassboro to turn upfield and run east and west, you're not going to be able to get that speed and get that angle you need to pick up yardage.
Critical third down. If they don't make it, the question is, do you try for a field goal here? Hodges, again, deep drop. Hodges spins out of trouble. Hodges trying to be aggressive and push forward, but Donald Davis once again won't allow it. A host of Glassboro Bulldogs converge on Hodges, and that may knock them out of field goal position.
I'm not too sure that, I think it was Inky Mears.
That'll do it for the third quarter. Another big defensive stand. Glassboro's defense has been very impressive this afternoon. They'll need to continue to be on a critical fourth down. We'll have it for you when we come back through 3. It's the Bulldogs by 5.
He's 230. You got to.
Welcome back to Glassboro High School, South Jersey Group 1 final. Glassboro on top by 5. Rob Christ along with Shawn, Leary. A lot of football to play here. Fourth down and a critical call. Hodges throws across the middle, in and out of the hands of Grimes. And the Glassboro defense holds once again.
Timothy Breaker on defense that time, the junior for Glassboro, right there to break that play up. But that time they're just going to put Hodges Hodges in a position to make the play fake and throw it upfield, not allowing the Glassboro rush to even be an issue on that play. They try to go with the slant. Nice job by Timothy Breaker to break that play up, giving Glassboro the ball now in the fourth quarter. This is an electrifying crowd, Rob. This is one of the...
First down and 10 as Breaker tries to calm the crowd down. Hard cut down by Johnson. Kevin Johnson again. Although somewhat small, he has played very big.
You know, we've been doing a lot of these games over the last decade, and I don't know if I've ever seen a Glassboro crowd as charged up as they are for this game. And they've been in this position before, but it seems like this one matters much more to them. They feel like this is the year of plenty of seniors, the opportunity to get back and exact a little bit of revenge against the Red Raiders over the last couple of seasons.
2nd and 6. High formation for Breaker. Again, 2 receivers split left. And then the quick hitter, James, cuts it outside. James, more than enough, and there's a penalty flag down. This play's coming back. Holding, and that's going to go against Glassboro.
Yeah, they caught somebody on the edge holding that time, but what an effort by James.
Glassboro has really had to overcome themselves in this game. They've made a couple of mistakes in terms of penalties on the special teams and, of course, turnovers. So that'll bring up a 2nd and 11 now. Shawn, today's broadcast is brought to you in part by the Star Ledger and NJ.com. Be sure to relive all the excitement with video highlights of each championship football game on NJ.com/highschoolsports. The Star Ledger and NJ.com. Everything Jersey.
Here they are.
High formation, 2nd and 11. The pitch, Carr. Finds a seam, Carr cuts it back inside and tries to steamroll his way through the Paulsboro defense. David Doak, who was the star of last week's game, on the tackle.
Doak coming in, nice block thrown by Pickford Jr., a senior. 5'7", 195-pound guard.
Again, another big 3rd down here for Glassboro. Approaching the 10-minute mark remaining in this football game. And Breaker and this Glassboro offense looking to extend possession. Again, a 2-receiver set. Breaker will roll right. Breaker strings it outside, tries to cut inside, and he's brought down. We may have a face mask. There is a penalty flag down.
A lot going on in this play. I don't think they're ruling them down. The right personal foul face mask. That's going to give Glassboro a 1st down. What a huge mistake by Paulsboro. You have Glassboro where they're going to be forced to punt, and a face mask is going to give them a 1st down. Personal foul. That is a big penalty, a big spot in this football game. You would have had good field position, but a huge mistake really costing the Paulsboro Red Raiders here.
1st and 10. We mentioned that Glassboro has had a tough time getting out of the way of itself. Well, now Paulsboro returning the favor. Breaker will hand it off. And again, a fine tackle made by Kevin Johnson.
Hey, you're right. This kid has really grown up over the last few weeks. Done an excellent job. A sophomore, only going to continue to get better. Again, we'll probably be saying his name a lot more on the offensive side of the ball next year. And they say that there's a possibility to put Kevin Johnson, a quarterback, and put Hodges in the backfield. He'd be a terrific fullback and just try and improve on that offense. There you see the Bulldog.
2nd and 11. Again, the handoff. And again, another penalty flag in the area of holding. Ralph Carr finding a little bit of room and exploiting it, but this is probably going to go back.
It was thrown by the back judge, Donald D'Amico.
So Paulsboro will back up the Bulldogs once again. 8:42 left in this football game. Six penalties now against the Bulldogs for 60 yards.
Now, Paulsboro should be able to get the ball back. This is where they don't want to make a mistake by committing a stupid penalty here. They're just giving up on a play. You got to make sure you tackle, wrap up, and try to get the ball back into your offense's hands.
Breaker across the middle, still on his feet. Big completion made to Green, the 6'2" junior, and that sets up a very makeable third down.
That ball's just placed perfectly for Green to come down with. Nice pass, nice job by Green. Again, a nice big target at 6'2", where you can float the ball a little bit in the middle of the field and feel comfortable that Green's going to have the only chance to come down with it. It's always a dangerous pass because you're afraid if the ball does get tipped there or Green's not able to hold on to it, that's really where you get those interceptions happen, right in the middle of the field. But a good play call, good decision, and a 3rd and short now.
Third down. Breaker will hand off. And enough for the first down. Ralph Carr continues the Bulldog drive now into Red Raider territory. And you just get a little sense, Shawn, of the frustration of Paulsboro right now after that last play.
When you can't get off the field on 3rd down and you had them, you had them where they're in a punt situation, but a personal foul penalty gives them the extra set of downs. Glassboro makes a mistake, was able to overcome that with Damian Green.
1st and 10. Split left is Tim Breaker. He's now in motion. Again, the handoff right up the middle and another holding penalty. Well, someone is consistently holding up the middle. The Glassboro crowd doesn't like it, but somebody has to make an adjustment.
Somebody in the interior of that line is extending those arms and holding on.
So this is a 9-yard penalty. 7 for 69 now. 1st and 19.
Last championship won by the Bulldogs, 1999. With relatively the same group in 2000, we're not able to get the job done. Want to get it back here at Glassboro.
The delay. Davis into the secondary. Davis knocked out of bounds. Very close to the first down. Right now, Glassboro answering every punch that Paulsboro has to throw.
Looked like Pigford again with a terrific block. Getting those legs out, good pulling, and great explosion by Davis.
So we'll get the measurement here. Looks like it's going to be just short. 6:37 left. And Glassboro. This has been a protracted drive, and Glassboro couldn't have written the script any better. Again, Tim Breaker split left. 2nd down and inches for the Bulldogs. Handoff, and that'll be enough for the 1st down.
Just can't get off the field right now. Again, showing signs of wearing down. Got to give credit to the Glassboro offensive front with being able to spring James, Carr, and Davis for big gainers in the 2nd half.
1st and 10. Again, the handoff. Davis cuts it outside. Davis still on his feet. He'll be a couple yards shy of the 1st down marker.
Just too much room that time. Stephen Weiss in the middle of that offensive line, 6 foot, 230 pounds. The senior. Too many seniors just denying this time Paulsboro with an opportunity to get the ball back. 5:51 and counting.
Well, each 1st down, of course, means deeper penetration, but perhaps more importantly, more time off the clock. 5:40 and counting for Glassboro. 2nd down and short. Again, the handoff. And again, it's James. James on his feet, goes down. He'll be spotted shy of the 1st down, so a critical 3rd down once again for the Bulldogs. They've consistently run up the middle, Shawn, and then had success kicking it outside the tackles once the flow goes inside.
What they're trying to do is stack everything up, and that's the linebackers and the defensive ends. Defensive ends have to do a better job of containing and forcing the play to the inside. Okay, they're doing a good job at the point of attack with Doak, Gilchrist, and Sargent at times. Then the defensive ends have to be able to shoot upfield.
Big 3rd down. 1 receiver set. Handoff right up the middle. Carr is stopped.
Darren Carter. What an outstanding effort by the junior fullback.
Now the question is, do you go for it or do you try to pin them even deeper in their own end? I would think that Herb Nealio is going to go for it.
Fullback slash linebacker. This is a spot. I mean, you probably take as much time off the clock as possible. It appears that they're going to go for it.
This could be the deciding play of this football game.
Somebody's got to make a play on the Paulsboro defensive line.
High formation. Whitaker. Split right. Handoff. Cut outside. 1st down. Into the secondary. Ralph Carr all the way down to the 20-yard line.
Great job of blocking down by the tight end. I think that was Damian Green who's downfield blocking. Excellent job by the right side of that Glassboro line. Too much running room for Glassboro, able to keep the clock moving, move the chains. Just eating up this entire 4th quarter is this Glassboro offense.
3:40 and counting. 1st and 10 at the 20-yard line. Again, the handoff. And there's some trouble.
Grimes coming in, making a play. And I talked about somebody making a play. Right now, you have to look at each other. Someone has to say, I'm going to make a play for this team. I'm going to get us the ball back one way or the other, whether we strip the football, pull somebody down behind the line of scrimmage, but I'm not going to allow the man in front of me to beat me. Paulsboro takes the timeout here.
Glenn Howard calls timeout. You see the Glassboro Bulldog licking his chops at the thought of a South Jersey championship against what has become their arch rival.
Either that or he spots a hot dog on the ground. Either way, he's licking his chops. Just want to remind everyone that the NJSIA, the governing body of the high school sports, does a nice job of putting all these tournaments on. 3:25 left in the clock. This drive taking up 8 minutes and 30 seconds of time here in the fourth quarter. Just a drive that will go down as one of the greats of all time for Glassboro if they would hold on for victory and punch it in here.
2nd down and 14. Glassboro has seen themselves in this very position a number of times on this drive. Again, a 2-receiver set, both split left out of the eye. Breaker on the draw. What a tackle there. Loose football, and Breaker falls on it. And again, it looks like Paulsboro will call timeout. Well, you need a big play here if you're Paulsboro. You got it twice in a row.
From the same guy. That's what you're looking for. And again, shooting upfield, that's what you want your defensive end to do. Get that quick first step. Slap the tackle's hands away and get in, make a play in the backfield, and he's done that twice here. Gary Grimes caught his name a couple of times today. He's had some problems catching the football, but also has made great plays in special teams as the punter, but also here at defensive end.
1 timeout remains for Paulsboro. 3:17 left, and Glenn Howard urging on his defense. This may very well be 4-down territory, and if you're Glassboro, of course, the question is, do you want to even try to throw the ball if you keep it on the ground? Although you have less of an opportunity to get a first down, you certainly will keep the clock moving. Of course, on 4th down, if you throw the ball, there's no harm in an incomplete pass.
Right now, I think on 4th down, they'll be punting the football. Just try and get it into one of the corners if they're not able to pick up the first down here. But I expect them to run the football, try to keep it on the ground, and maybe, again, try to funnel everything to the inside and then shoot to the outside.
Breaker back to pass. Breaker throws it up into coverage, tipped up and knocked down. Well, that illustrates the confidence that Neilio has in Breaker.
Good defense that time, not buying it. Archie trying to work on him. The senior does a nice job of getting back in coverage, along with Hodges, the safety, helping out. Now you see Herb Neilio with the decision here, and they'll take a timeout, talk it over.
Today's broadcast brought to you in part by the Star Ledger and NJ.com. Be sure to relive all the excitement with video highlights of each championship football game on NJ.com/highschoolsports, HS Sports, the Star Ledger, and NJ.com. Everything Jersey.
Everything Jersey. South Jersey, North Jersey, Central Jersey, East Jersey,
kind of
West
a strange
Jersey.
state, of course, because you have so many people here, but you're near such large media markets that are out of state. There's just not enough coverage of Jersey, and this is one of the outlets.
Well, you go to NJ.com.
That's right.
NJ.com, you'll find all kinds of stuff there.
So Neilio now opts to bring out the punt unit. Initially, they had kept the offense in, which I was a little surprised at, but they will try to pin Paulsboro back deep into their own end. Hodges, the only person back, and Paulsboro will try to force a blocked punt here.
Yeah, they'll come after him.
Good snap. No, Tunstall bobbles, runs out. Tunstall now with traffic on his way. Tunstall, touchdown! Roderick Tunstall drops the snap and finds his way into the end zone. 29-yard touchdown run to ice it away. This Glassboro crowd has erupted. if there was any suspense, it has essentially gone out the window.
Yeah,
exactly 3 minutes left.
What an amazing play call. What an amazing play call by Herb Neely on that play. I know Paulsboro not expecting it. They're sending everybody. What more can you say? I mean, that was maybe a defining moment in Herb Neely's coaching career here at Glassboro. One of the surprising calls that you're going to find. I don't think anybody expected to have Tunstall roll out. 19 plays, 8 minutes and 55 seconds. Not only scoring, but just a tremendous, tremendous amount of time eaten up by the Glassboro offense. Now down by 11 points.
So interesting goings on here at Glassboro as the crowd is kind of barking at some of the Paulsboro coaching staff. Of course, Glassboro's had the proverbial monkey on their back the last couple of years.
Hey, you know what?
2 years ago in a game that ended with much controversy.
I just want to say something real quick. You know, you want to make sure you show class, too, when you win. I've always seen Paulsboro show a lot of class after they win. Of course, they win, and they do it quite often, so it's not a big surprise to them. But you want to be able to show class when you do win a football game. And I'm not saying anything against the Glassboro coaching staff or the kids, because they're very excited, but here in the stands getting a little animated.
A little animated. You know, we mentioned before that this Glassboro defense has played exceptionally well. No greater indication of that. First downs, second half, Glassboro with 8. Paulsboro still looking for their first.
You really have to take a look at the offensive line for Glassboro and what it did. And again, wearing a team down, and Paulsboro has been susceptible to that over the last couple of weeks. We saw West Everett start to come back in its game in the Thanksgiving rivalry. And you're right, the first downs this half, man, it tells the whole story. Coming out of the locker room, you saw Glassboro. It just seemed like they had a little bit more, a little spunk coming out of the locker room. This is a team with just a tremendous amount of emotion coming into today's game, wanted nothing more than to win a South Jersey title. Here they're going to go for 2.
2-point conversion, and this is no good. So the score holds 18-7 with 3 minutes left. Now, again, I may have been getting a little bit ahead of myself. There's still 3 minutes left.
Yeah,
it is possible for Paulsboro to win this game, but certainly given what has transpired, not only throughout the game, but in particular the second half, it's quite a hill to climb for the Red Raiders.
Yep. And you're going to have to do it on with Hodges. I mean, Hodges is going to be the one that is going to have to make a couple of plays here, and he's going to have to do it with his arm. That means you're going to have to give him enough protection and have to, find some receivers downfield. You got to expect that they'll look for crawls, try to go up top, try to use a big 6'5" frame of his to get one-on-one with somebody, but I doubt very highly that Glassboro will do that. They'll probably send a couple of safeties deep, keep everything in front of them. You can sense the emotion. You can sense the emotion. And even in the crowd here.
Oh, I could definitely sense
there's
the
been
emotion.
a lot of angst.
I could see it and I could hear it. I'm just worried about the Paulsboro coaching staff leaving.
Yeah, and I'm not wearing nothing red, am I?
No, I think you're all right since you predicted a Glassboro victory. The kick off the side of the foot, picked up by Hodges, and Hodges is hit immediately and still on his feet, and Hodges just punished.
Refusing to go down now.
Of course, earlier you talked about Sakeem Wright. He is a member of the coaching staff here at Glassboro High School. So,
last one who instituted and created that championship for the Bulldogs. You see the offense, a huge disparity.
2:52 left.
Tunstall looks like he's limping off. Actually,
I believe that's Whitaker.
Yeah, it is
There's
Whitaker.
Hodges. Hodges again in a whole heap of trouble, and Hodges brought down.
Yeah, this is not the strength of the Paulsboro offense where he's going to be forced to throw. And anytime you're in this situation, very difficult to be able to throw with as much efficiency as you need, especially when you have probably 4 or 5 defensive backs in there, which Glassboro has.
Hodges, again, a deep drop, getting pressure. Hodges still sacked again by Davis. Again, this Glassboro defense really laying the wood. Underneath 2 minutes, it's now 3rd down and a lot. Screen pass, Quarles. One-arm tackle by Ralph Carr. It's gotten that easy for Glassboro.
Always a lot easier when you know what the opponent's going to be doing. I mean, right now you know that Paulsboro is going to get back in that pass formation, try to get the ball out. This
4th and 15 for the Red Raiders.
Official timeout, trying to fix something on Darius Quarles. I think he had problems with his chin strap.
4th and 15, Hodges. Davis again with pressure. Hodges throws deep, and it's picked off. Davis at the 42, returns it down to the 20. Davis on his way. Touchdown! Well, I saw no person celebrating more than Herb Nealio out there.
Yeah.
Again, just a great relief to win this championship, as now it's a 24-7 game.
After 8 years of frustration, Glassboro's going to get back into that Group 1 championship run of Gloucester County teams. Being held for a number of years by the Paulsboro Red Raiders. Shalleck is mixed in there.
Kick is no good. It's 24-7. Glassboro on top of the Red Raiders in the South Jersey Group 1 championship game. A minute 16 left. And there's going to be quite a party in Glassboro tonight. Could be at my director Stan Ritter's house.
We can invite everyone over there, right? He's a Glassboro guy, Glassboro graduate. That's right. Got to feel pretty good about his alma mater winning a championship. I think. I mean, you think so.
So a minute 16 left here, and the Red Raiders awaiting the kickoff. Paulsboro, despite officially 2 losses on the year, again, we mentioned those coming from an ineligible player, will suffer essentially their first loss of the season today, certainly on the field. This was a very, very hard-fought game in the first half. It just seemed like Glassboro wanted it more in the second half, and that's uncharacteristic of a Glenn Howard coach team. Grimes picks it up at the 30-yard line and helped pull his way forward before being stopped at about the 36. So down to a minute 10 left now. And there you see the water and the Gatorade and whatever else awaiting Nealio and the coaching staff. And he got it. Well, I've been on the receiving end of that on a couple of occasions. It's not what I would consider refreshing, and particularly given the fact that it's about 40 degrees outside today. 69 seconds left. Hodges with time throws, and that falls incomplete as he tries to find Amir Love. Well, Emilio has to be ecstatic. 2 years in a row losing to Paulsboro. Perhaps the difference this year, the opportunity to play at home. The Breaker brothers transferring over from Shalleck. And they have certainly been the difference. Justin Breaker, the senior quarterback, his brother Tim, standout junior wide receiver. Hodges again with a deep drop. Hodges will throw, and this again falls incomplete. Looking for Willie Anderson. Down to 58.3 seconds left. Well, Glassboro scoring 4 unanswered touchdowns. This game started with Paulsboro leading 7-0. Gerald Hodges, a 48-yard touchdown run off of a quarterback draw. And that gives you some insight as to how excited this Glassboro bunch is. 3rd and 10. Hodges again, deep drop, flushed out of the pocket, and he'll be sacked. This defense of Glassboro, so impressive, yet to yield a first down in the second half. And this may be Paulsboro's last opportunity to get off the schneid in the first down department, as we are now inside of 30 seconds with Glassboro holding a sizable 24-7 edge. 4th down and 15. Hodges, 3-man rush, throws underneath, and it's caught by Quarles. So that is the first down of the second half for the Red Raiders. They find themselves into Glassboro territory. And there you see Bob Cleary. Obviously pleased with the outcome. Hodges, again, a deep drop. Running out of time, Hodges will keep, and Hodges will simply go down, and the Glassboro sidelines will erupt. Glassboro is your 2007 Group 1 champion. There you see their other championships, 1999, 1987, 83, 81, and 1975. Another trophy to add to the mantle. The Glassboro Bulldogs with a sizable victory, 24-7 over their arch rival, the Paulsboro Red Raiders. Stick around, we'll have post-game interviews and a wrap after this. Welcome back to Glassboro High School. Glassboro victorious over Paulsboro 24-7 in the South Jersey Group 1 championship game. Rob Christ here, just giving you an overview of what exactly transpired here this afternoon. This was a game that saw 2 traditional powers face off against one another, and 2 teams that have evolved into arch rivals. Paulsboro victorious last year over Glassboro in a one-sided affair, 20-0. The year prior, it was a game that saw controversy at the end of overtime. Glassboro drove and was literally knocking on the door, looking as if they would tie the game in overtime. A fumble resulted, and there was some question as to whether or not forward progress was stopped. The officials ruled on the field that, in fact, it was a fumble, and Paulsboro escaped with their lives. Since that game, Glassboro has wanted redemption, and there's no question here this afternoon that these fans are exulting in both joy and relief as they get the proverbial monkey off their back a decisive 24-7 game that is somewhat misleading in that it was a tight affair until the very end. Gerald Hodges started things off for these Paulsboro Red Raiders with a decisive 48-yard quarterback draw. It was a game that saw extraordinary hard hitting on both sides, and that first half was no different. Paulsboro scored first, and they looked to have the momentum. Despite that, Justin Breaker led this offense throughout the day with that strong right arm of his and prudent decision-making, eventually throwing a pass and tying things up, or so it appeared. Instead, Tunstall's extra point attempt knocked off the left upright, and Glassboro started to question things. Will we be able to win this game, or is this a sign of things to come? Well, we would soon find out that Glassboro was the stronger team. They went on to score another touchdown on the ground, and once the scoring began towards the end of the fourth quarter, a decisive fake on the play resulted in an 18-7 lead off of a fake punt. Tunstall once again in the mix as he fumbled the snap from the punt. It looked as though Herb Nealio had called, in fact, a fake punt, but despite that, Tunstall picks up the ball and races in for a 29-yard touchdown score, and then finally the game ends 24-7, Glassboro, a decisive win. Herb Nealio and his Glassboro Bulldogs again exulting in their victory. An impressive win, and we have some of those Bulldogs here with their own Shawn Leary. Shawn, why don't you take it away?
Okay, I got about 10 guys with me, so we're going to get through them quick. First, Justin, you come over here. The Glassboro kid who goes over to Shalleck. What's this mean to you, come back to Glassboro and be able to lead them to a championship? Something hasn't been done since 1999.
I mean, it means a lot because most people didn't think I can lead a team to a state championship, and I did that today.
Congratulations to you. What about coming back here and to be able to celebrate with your teammates? I mean, what's that feel like?
I mean, when it's feeling good. It's feeling good. I mean, I can't explain it right now. My adrenaline is running, and I'm just happy to be here with a bunch of group of guys that just want to win.
Well, congratulations to you. We're going to bring in Corey James. Congratulations, a senior. You've been through the downs on this team. It's a great job for you to be able to be in the championship year for Glassboro after having a couple of losing seasons where you're losing that final game. What's it feel like to walk off as a winner?
Oh man, I just want to do backflips all the way home. I'm so happy. I've been waiting for this all my life.
What does it mean to you, especially with guys like Ralph who comes alongside you and you work all year long, and to come up on the short end? How much adrenaline, how much emotion do you have coming into today's game?
I mean, BJ is my cousin. We grew up together. We've been playing ever since midgets. We know each other. If he goes in, I'm gonna drop back for him. We work simultaneously together, and we get it done.
Speaking of him, we're going to bring him in. Congratulations. Oh, no. We got Reyes here, right? What's it feel like? I know your dad's experienced some football success. How about you now? You get on this line. Talk about the line and being able to dominate and that final drive.
It's just good. We've been practicing real hard up front. We say it starts with the front. I'm sorry, I'm a little.
That's all right. Don't worry about it.
But the line is the heart of the team, because without them, you can't do nothing. So I just said we just got to go out there and play hard, and if we do what we have to do up front, the backs will do everything they have to do.
What about that final drive? It seemed like you guys were able to wear them down a little bit. Did you feel like you started gaining a little bit more of a dominating effort in the second half?
Yes. Once we seen that Hodges couldn't do anything, we figured, we hit the heart. So without him, it's like 11 versus 1 against him. So we stopped him and we just won. That's all.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Best of luck. Ralph, congratulations.
Thank you.
A lot of emotion coming out of you after the game, some tears of joy. Just tell me what it feels like.
It feels good. I've been here 4 years, 3 years to the championship. It's first year winning it. It feels real good. It feels great.
You guys had a coach in Sakeen Wright who was able to win the last championship here in 1999. What did he tell you before the game? Was there any inspiring words from him?
He told me to just keep my head up. I mean, he said I'm a captain and just keep everyone in line. They follow after me. And it was real good having him out there, looking up to him, because he was a big player at Glassboro High School.
2 years ago, you got the heartache of being in Paulsboro and coming up really a yard short. What about now to being able to make up for that and finally coming out with a victory?
Oh man, this is just great, man. I have no words for it. It's just I love it. And we did it in our hometown. So I love it.
Well, congratulations to you. I think I've ran through everyone I need to go. We're going to now head over to Rob, who I believe has Coach Neilio, the winning coach for the Group 1 champion Glassboro Bulldogs.
Thank you, Shawn. Here with winning head coach Herb Neilio. And Coach, I mentioned to Shawn down on the air after that big play that kind of sealed the victory. I didn't see anybody jump higher, have a greater celebration than you. I mean, it has to be just extraordinary to finally win the Group 1 championship game, and of course against what has become your arch rival, the Paulsboro Red Raiders.
Yeah, it's been a long 2 years. It's been kind of frustrating. So at that point we were a little happy. I think it's been 20 years since we beat them in a final, and that's too long.
Let's kind of walk through the game a little bit. Of course, Paulsboro scores first off of a big play from Gerald Hodges, that 48-yard quarterback draw. As a coaching staff and as a team, how do you keep them, obviously it's early in the game, but, having played Paulsboro and them winning, certainly it probably creeps up in the back of your mind, well, here we go again. I mean, did you talk to your players or you just let it happen?
No, we talked all week about keeping him in the pocket because you watched him all year long get outside the pocket, and he's a big, strong kid. And I think we did get a couple kids on him on that one, and they just didn't tackle him. So we tried to keep him in the pocket and also tackle him when you get there, wrap him up.
Again, you come back and eventually you go on to take the lead. And, this is a team that really seemed like once they felt like they had their feet underneath them, there was no stopping them. I mean, obviously a team that is undefeated certainly doesn't lack confidence. But, how important was it to finally, get the touchdown and then eventually go ahead?
No, at halftime, we gave up that touchdown. We were down against Heights. We were down once and came back. But at halftime, we talked about it, went over it, and the kids were very confident. I had to give it to the kids, man. There's some excellent athletes, great athletes on this football team, and they were very confident. And they said, "Don't worry, Coach, we're going to do it." So.
Now, going into this game, I really thought that this was going to be a Glassboro team that was just merely going to outscore you, but your defense was extraordinary, only yielding one first down in the second half, and it was essentially a meaningless one as time was expiring. Talk a little bit about that defense.
Well, yeah, we've played very good defense. We have a lot of team speed. I think we always play some good defense here. In the past championship games, I think we played good defense. The key today was you got to put the ball in the end zone. You know what I mean? I think we had one offensive touchdown in the last 8 quarters against them in 2 years. So we knew we had to put more than one touchdown on the board. That's the main thing. But the kids played great defense all year long.
In fairness, not only was the defense great, but your offense did an extraordinary job. That drive that finally resulted in a touchdown off of the punt encompassed over 9 minutes. I don't know if you're aware of that, but of course that keeps the Paulsboro offense off the field. But, I tell you what, I don't recall a drive of greater resiliency. It seemed like every time you went forward 8 yards, there was a holding penalty there. I mean, just an extraordinary drive.
Well, the holding penalties there, you got a little frustrated with the holding penalties. My assistant, Greg Macron, does an excellent job with the offense. But the kids, again, at halftime, we threw the ball a decent amount in the first half. We did in the second half. The kids wanted to pound the ball. That's what they said, Coach. Let's run the ball right at them. We can do it. And that's what we did. That's exactly what happened.
Let's talk about that big fourth down botched punt play. Tunstall fumbles the football, picks it up. Again, the discussion between Shawn and I was whether or not it was a fake. Coach?
I can't say. I'll never tell. I don't know. Let's say the bobble snap had a lot to do with it. Well, that's Ricky. I mean, he's a junior, that kid. He's done everything for us this year. Excellent speed. Good. He was all conference. He's all Group 1. Both ways all conference. And he's a junior kid with good academics, and he's definitely going to play at the next level.
Well, at the expense of sounding or giving you an obvious question, talk a little bit about how much this means to you as a coach and how much this means to the Glassboro football program.
Well, it means a lot to the kids. Like I said, it's been frustrating for 2 years, and you got to hear it, you got to listen to it. We've had some. We're blessed with some very good athletes here. We have a good midget football program, and we're blessed with great athletes. You know what I'm saying? And I think this one was for the town and for the school. Now they can sit back for at least for a year and enjoy this one.
Well, you're champions at least for another year. I congratulate you, Coach. A tremendous job, a tremendous season. Let's not lose sight of the fact that you went undefeated throughout the year. And again, we look forward to seeing you again next year.
Thank you.
Well, again, Herb Neilio, the winning head coach, Glassboro, your Group 1 champions. It's been a great football season once again, Shawn, and a great outcome here for the Glassboro Bulldogs.
By the way, Coach, I was a faked punt because that's what I said it was. So just back me up with all the newspapers.
congratulations to Glassboro and Herb Nealio, and like he talked about with, getting a lot of stuff. I know the parents, they can really get on you, and you got to feel good for them. I mean, coming after Coach Leary, who had a storied career here at Glassboro, being the coach, you got to feel good when a guy really gets that monkey off his back. And for Coach Nealio, you got to feel good for him, and also these kids that have endured those painful losses against this Paulsboro team. For them like Corey James and Ralph Carr, Donald Davis, to see the emotion coming off of their faces after this victory, it's really nice to see.
Well, and, I think, again, the victory is even a little bit sweeter because not only does it come against Paulsboro, who's been your arch rival, but it comes against Paulsboro, the team who is, the reigning two-time champion. So if there was any question as to who the best team was in Group 1, Glassboro certainly answered that.
Yeah, they proved that this year, at least in 2007. This is the Group 1 champion. They were the best team this year. Defensively, I think they played outstanding, but really the game was won in the trenches, and that's where you look at championship football teams, where they win a game. It really instituted that final drive. I mean, they really outran that entire fourth quarter. And a great job, great game plan by Coach Nealio. And also congratulations to Paulsboro for another fine season. What do you expect when you have a team like Paulsboro? It almost reminds you of the Yankees. Every team wants to be able to beat the Yankees, and that's what Paulsboro has created here in Group 1, is it gets a lot of interest. You saw everyone circling the field. That wasn't just Glassboro and Paulsboro fans. It was all types of football fans coming to see if the big team, the Paulsboro Red Raiders, could go down. Congratulations to Glassboro, and I just want to make sure and reiterate this, that when I talked about the class, Glassboro has shown a lot of class. The kids, cheering for their opponents coming off the field, along with Herb Nealio, class organization.
Well, again, the Red Raiders falling in the championship game. Glenn Howard has gotten this program to a point where an appearance in the championship game is a disappointing season. That speaks volumes about what Paulsboro has done over the years. Once again, Glassboro, your 2007 Group 1 champion, as they defeat the Paulsboro Red Raiders 24-7. For my partner, Shawn Leary, my director, Stan Ritter, and all the crew, not forgetting my stat man, Mark Narducci, I'm Rob Christ. Thanks for joining us throughout this 2007 football season. Again, your final score, Glassboro over Paulsboro, 24-7. Good night, everybody.